92nd time these two teams will meet in their history. First time in the postseason. We welcome you back to the booth, Joe and Troy, and let's talk about the Giants. We were there in Tampa, Florida last week. My gosh, they played a good game, Eli in particular, and they come in very confident here today.
They really do, and Eli Manning, you know, coming off back-to-back games, playing very well. He's had good games here at Texas Stadium. I know he's confident coming into this game, and, you know, I think the real key in this particular game today, Joe, however, is going to be this defensive front. You know, when you look at the last time these two teams met, they just were not able to get any pressure, you know, there on Tony Romo. I think Michael Strahan and Osi Umenyiora, really, they're going to be the key in the outcome of this game.
How about more on the Giants? Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Yeah, Joe, you're exactly right. Confident is the word to describe the New York Giants. They love this building. They love their chances, and they love being in the underdog role. Brandon Jacobs, for example, he was so confident before the game. He was actually practicing how he was going to spike the ball. When I asked him about it, he says, I plan to get there a lot. And then he echoed something that a number of players told me. The New York Giants just feel it's simply their turn. Back to you.
Pam. Giants will start with a football. And if Eli Manning told us yesterday that it's easy to communicate in this stadium, I don't think he will have ever been tested the way he's about to be tested communicating to his offense when he's out on the field there today.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience, Joe, the atmosphere is a little different here at Texas Stadium for a playoff game from what it is in a regular season.
Dominic Hickson waiting for it for the Giants from outside his own end zone. Fakes a reverse. Hickson tripped up at the 20, and he falls forward to the 23. Kevin Burnett on the stop. An important piece, Troy, is back up front, and that's the guy who anchors this offensive line, Sean O'Hara. When we talked to Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator of the Redskins, he said the way we like to pressure Eli Manning is right up in his face, right up the middle, and get him backpedaling.
Well, Sean O'Hara is going to be an important guy because when you look at Dallas and what they're able to do off the edge with Greg Ellis, DeMarcus Ware, you've got to give Eli Manning a place to step up. Sean O'Hara is going to be important in allowing him to do that.
Brandon Jacobs gets it, cuts back a bit. Aiken Adele on the stop. He needed help, and a pickup of 5. We look at the defense, and it has been a banner year for Jay Ratliff, the nose tackle who took over for Jason Ferguson, who was lost in week 1 against the Giants. Tank Johnson, an addition up there. And then the guy you really highlight is DeMarcus Ware, about as good as there is in the game.
Yeah, he has had some awfully good games, and you know, he's got such great speed and power coming off the edge.
Second and 5. Jacobs over the left side with blocking in front of him, has a first down. Wrestled down by Greg Ellis, a gain of 9. So 2 carries for Jacobs, 14 yards to start his day.
Yeah, you think back to last week, Dave Deal, the left tackle, because they were playing there in Tampa, Florida, not accustomed to the humidity that they experienced there, and he had to come out of that game, had some IV bags that were having to, you know, get some fluid into him to keep from cramping. You know, he's going to be important. He did a nice job on that last play, securing the edge, and then allowing Brandon Jacobs to get outside.
First down. A blitz coming from Dallas. Eli off his back foot throws it to an open spot. Amani Toomer the closest to it, and there they had Eli Manning backpedaling and just floated one out there off his back foot.
Yeah, he had to turn that one loose before he wanted to. The pressure comes in the middle, and he didn't trust that it was going to get picked up. You know, you see there at the last minute, he gets rid of the football, and there was no receiver in the area. They actually could have called him for intentional grounding if they had wanted to, because he did not get outside the tackle box.
On 2nd and 10, Brandon Jacobs tries the right side, cuts it up. Picks up 4. Brandon Jacobs, 6'4", 264, and a guy, Troy, that we've talked about before. Even though you look at his body, You think a big bruising running back, he's that, but he's also nifty and has quick feet.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that surprises most people. You remember those first 2 years, he was, just a short yardage goal line back. I know in talking with Ernie Accorsi, the former general manager, when he brought Brandon Jacobs in, he said, this guy's a tailback. He's not just a short yardage runner. And boy, he has proven Ernie right this year.
3rd and 6.
First 3rd down for the Giants.
DeMarcus Ware got an early jump. There is a flag on the play. Pass broken up by Reeves for Toomer, but there's a flag down, and it's against Dallas. DeMarcus Ware came across too early.
You're going to see DeMarcus Ware right here. He's trying to anticipate the snap count.
Number 94, defense. 5-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
Now, I'll tell you, Joe, from that angle, it looked like he was actually moving in sequence with when the ball was snapped. But, you can tell he's in there looking at the ball. And because the stadium is as loud as what it is right now, Eli Manning, when he's in shotgun formation, is going to go silent count. And they're anticipating the snap just like the offensive linemen are. When you go to the silent count, the offensive line no longer has the advantage of really knowing exactly when the ball is going to go.
I would say DeMarcus Ware went up as much as he went forward. And instead of 4th down, it's now 3rd and inches after the 5-yard penalty. Manning keeps it. And it just depends on the spot. We say that weekend after weekend, but it looked like Manning got forward a couple of inches, then was stood up. Second effort may have picked it up. And it looks with where they marked the football, like by the very nose of the football, he may have gotten enough. But if he did, it's going to be by an inch. Tom Coughlin finally got a playoff victory as head coach of the Giants. 1st down. For Tom Coughlin, Troy, and the Giants, we were there in week 3 when they were playing at Washington. They had lost the first 2 here in Dallas, got throttled at home by Green Bay. They were down at the half to the Redskins. Pitched a shutout in the second half, won that game, and then went on to win 5 more in a row.
Yeah, I think you look back at that Washington game. I mean, that win, as improbable as it looked, really saved their season.
Manning fires and finds a wide open Amani Toomer, who stays on his feet down the sideline. No penalty flags, touchdown. You can go back to the offside call on Ware, which kept the drive alive, and then Toomer did the rest.
And it was a good route right there by Amani Toomer. You could see Anthony Henry was in coverage on him. He thought Toomer was actually going to go to the post, and all Toomer was running was about a 12-yard curl there. Just a good route on his part, but then just poor tackling right here. I mean, you see opportunities there to get him to the ground, and they're just not able to do that.
First it was Ellis, then it was Anthony Henry. Both missed. And 52 yards later, the New York Giants, the number 5 seed, with an early strike here against the Cowboys. 7-0 New York. First quarter. For the Giants, 73 yards on that drive. A total of -2 yards in the first quarter at the Buccaneers last week. Return is taken by Miles Austin, and Austin is out across the 20, marked at the 24. Dominic Hickson on that last tackle. First it was Toomer into the end zone, and Eli keeps it rolling. Tony Romo gets his chance, down 7. Eli Manning, a winner last week, has a 52-yard touchdown throw to Amani Toomer, and now starting at their own 23 are the Cowboys, down 7. Marion Barber gets the start today, and a penalty flag comes in as Barber lost the football. Tony Romo comes up with a fumble. It looked like there may have been a face mask on the tackle, by Kavika Mitchell. He got his hands up on the face mask of Marion Barber, number 55.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's going to be the 15-yard variety as well when you see him turn and he didn't let go.
Personal foul, face mask, number 55, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So Mitchell, who didn't start, got limited action last week with his sprained left knee, is guilty of the 15-yard foul, and that moves the ball from the 23 out, should be to 38. And you look at the backs and receivers. How about the start today from Marion Barber? Odd that they would pick today to make him start for the first time.
Well, it is, considering that he has not started all season, as you said, Joe. But you know, this is a running game that has been struggling here over the last 3 weeks, and you know, they want to inject a little life into this offense. And we all know that when Marion Barber gets in the game, you know, he just brings some excitement, some enthusiasm to this team. And they said, hey, let's start the game off with that and see if we can't put our playmakers on the field right from the beginning.
These guys are having a tough time figuring out where to put the ball down. Should be right there where Pete Morelli is pointing at the 38. Now they move it out across the 40, so they'll tack it on from the spot where Barber was fouled on that face mask, and they move it out to the 43. How about that? 2008 postseason, the teams that have scored first are 1-6. Giants show the blitz early and still come. First throw is through the hands of Terrell Owens. Owens had a franchise record 15 touchdowns during the regular season. He's an all-pro, 81 catches, over 1,300 yards, fifth best total in the NFL despite missing over a game and a half after that injury at Carolina.
Well, he's such a big weapon, as we all know, for this team, and if he's not able to influence this defense, whether it's by him being able to make plays or by him attracting double coverage, it profoundly changes the dynamic and the look of this offensive unit for Dallas.
Marion Barber tries the left side. Giants defense strings it out. Barber gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. And say again what you said a moment ago. Up front, this defense for the Giants is as good as it gets, and if they can get pressure with that front four, what a difference that makes.
Well, here's a defensive front that, or a defensive unit anyway, that led the National Football League with 53 sacks, and yet you go back to the games against Dallas and they only had 1 sack in each of those games. You look more specifically at the game in November, and besides the 1 sack, Tony Romo only hit the ground 1 time. And I think they've got to approach this like they did last week against Tampa Bay. They've got to be able to knock him around and get him out of rhythm if they're going to have any success.
A blitz from the Giants. This ball comes fluttering out, and the pass is incomplete. So they do bring a blitz. They get extra pressure, and Steve Spagnuolo dials one up on 3rd and 10. And it's a 3-and-out for this Dallas offense after the penalty.
Well, you look at the blitz right there off the slot. This is something that the Giants like to do. They show blitz one side, and they like to bring it the other way. This time they brought Michael Johnson, 43, the safety, to the offense's left. And then they bring Aaron Ross, the slot defender, to his right. They're going to generate pressure any way that they feel they need to do it.
Low snap. McBriar gets it, hits it. It's a good punt. McQuarters will haul it in around the 10. So the Giants have the ball, a 7-point lead. 47-yard punt by McBriar. Eli Manning back to work. Jason Garrett, the celebrated offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, trying to figure out a way to move the ball, something the Cowboys didn't do their last 3 games of the regular season. Didn't do much with that possession, and now starting from their own 10 are the Giants against the number 9 defense in the NFL, the Cowboys. New York up 7. Manning to start with a throw and hits Toomer again. Amani Toomer is out to the 21 plus and has a first down for the Giants.
Yeah, this is going to be a chess match up front as far as how they're going to block these guys for the Dallas Cowboys. This time, Kareem McKenzie, he's on him one-on-one. He does a pretty good job. He forces DeMarcus Ware to go wide, which then allows Eli Manning to step up into the pocket. Now on the outside, Amani Toomer one-on-one on Anthony Henry. They've gotten a couple plays. They got the touchdown on that same throw and get a big gain on that play.
Brandon Jacobs to the edge, and a great play by Ware. If DeMarcus Ware doesn't make that play, Jacobs has got a lot of room to run.
Well, DeMarcus Ware does a good job. This time they put Kevin Boss over on his side, the rookie tight end. He's more receiver than he is blocker, and you can tell why. DeMarcus Ware does a good job of fending him off and not allowing Brandon Jacobs to get outside. Plays it beautifully. Squares up Boss, and then once he sees Jacobs coming his way, he's able to get there and make the play.
2nd and 10. Jacobs gets it right up the middle. Down to the 30, where he's a yard shy of a first down. Picked up 9. Brady James on the tackle for Dallas.
You know, Brandon Jacobs last week, Joe, he was limited in his playing time. They brought in Ahmad Bradshaw. He's been battling a little bit of an injury there to his thighs. You can see those big old thigh pads that he's wearing, bigger than what most backs would wear. And the reason that he wears them is because he's such a big guy. Here he is, 6'4", 265 pounds. He runs upright, and so most of the hits that he takes are down in that thigh area.
Bradshaw is the tailback. Hedgecock, the fullback, the only one left, and a quick throw out to Ahmad Bradshaw. Fights his way for a first down, where he is dragged out of bounds. He made the play, ran through the tackle of Roy Williams, and picks up 6.
Ahmad Bradshaw, didn't get a chance to watch him play too much. Of course, he's been limited in his playing time, but you can see there, he's not a real big guy. He's pretty shifty. And going back to the last time these two teams played, one of the things they were really able to take advantage of was Jeremy Shockey on Roy Williams, and they'd split him out. Well, today, they're going to do that with Ahmad Bradshaw, as we just saw. They're going to do it with Brandon Jacobs, as they're doing here. And then they'll also do it with the tight end. There's Brandon Jacobs out split now.
From the 36, a handoff to Bradshaw, running left. Hops up through the hole and picks up another first down, a gain of 12.
That's what I was going to get into as far as Ahmad Bradshaw. Last week, he got his opportunity to show what he could do against Tampa Bay, and he was phenomenal. You watch him here, and he's going to run off tackle, but he's so quick once he sees the hole. He plants his foot, and then he's able to get going north and south. That's not unusual for a guy his size. You're talking about a player that's only 5'9", but he has unbelievable power and strength. He did not get a carry against the Dallas Cowboys in either one of the first 2 games, so the Cowboys, this is their first chance to see what this little guy's all about.
Play action from Manning on first down, airs it out. Plexico Burress is overthrown. Burress in the 2 games against the Cowboys has 12 catches, 168 yards with 3 touchdowns, but most of that damage coming in the season opening game here in Dallas.
Yeah, you see here, they had a chance, Joe, down to the corner. Eli Manning knew that he had one if he was able to just put it on him. We all know that Plexico Burress has been playing with a torn ligament in his ankle. He's not able to practice all that much. Would a healthy Plexico Burress have been able to run that one down? Hard to say.
2nd and 10. Bradshaw gets it, cuts it up. Ahmad Bradshaw to the 45-yard line of the Cowboys, 2 yards shy of a first down.
You look at Ahmad Bradshaw, and he's a lot like Tiki Barber. The makeup of this running game changed a little bit when Brandon Jacobs became the guy. But I know all those years with Tiki Barber, the offensive line really was not asked to move people out. I mean, just get a body on a body and let Tiki Barber find the hole. Ahmad Bradshaw's a little bit like that with his niftiness and his ability to make people miss. You know, he can make average blocks look pretty doggone effective.
3rd down and 2. They hand it to Bradshaw, and Bradshaw looks short of 1st down yardage.
And now Tom Coughlin's going to be faced with his first big decision here, and it's no decision at all. He's going to punt.
Well, that last quarterback sneak, which led to the touchdown, Eli Manning got the 1st down by inches, then connected with Toomer on a 52-yard touchdown throw and run, and now Fiegels comes on. This is his strong suit. Jeff Fiegels is the best ever at this particular skill, downing the ball inside the 20. Patrick Creighton is waiting for it. Fiegels does not want Creighton to touch it. Angling it for the corner and downfield. How good is that? It is a weapon and certainly factors into the decision making of Tom Coughlin. They're going to mark the ball inside the 5 at the 4-yard line as Tyree downfield made the play. Troy, I know you came away last week very impressed with the play calling of Kevin Gilbride there in the middle, the coordinator for the Giants.
But he did a great job of mixing it up, mixing in the screens, the short, easy completions for Eli Manning, mixing in the running game. It's going to take another one of those type games today.
Marion Barber gets it. Little cutback out to the 10. 6-yard run by Marion Barber, and Barry Cofield was in on the stop. Pierce was in there as well. So now you've got the Dallas offense. First 13 games, they were 2nd in the league to the machine up in New England, averaging just under 33 points per game. The last 3, 32 total points. The throw to the sideline, well done. Beautifully timed into the back shoulder of Terrell Owens. Good for 13 and a 1st down.
Tell you what, and they're singling him up too. Corey Webster, who did such a nice job last week against Joey Galloway. He's one-on-one with Terrell Owens, and you know, they run that back shoulder fade that we see so much of. I mean, Terrell Owens, until he proves otherwise, you have to respect his speed. And you come into the game, even though he's got the high ankle sprain, assuming that he's going to be able to run. And so Corey Webster has to respect that. And in so doing, it does give them the ability then to hit the back shoulder fade as they just did.
We were there at practice. He looked perfectly fine running around. In fact, Romo said he thought he'd be 100%. Creighton gets in. What a good tackle by the rookie Ross. A loss of 3 on the play as Aaron Ross, who's from Tyler, Texas, came up to make the stop.
Yeah, and this young guy has had a heck of a rookie season. I mean, he's able to get by Fasano there and then tackle Patrick Creighton. Just a good job in the open field. I mean, he's just one of many rookies who have had an impact for this Giants team. I mean, you think back to last week, Ahmad Bradshaw, you know, Steve Smith, and you know, and then him, of course, on the defensive side, Kevin Boss there at tight end. Great contributions by some young players this year.
2nd and 13. Barber gets it. Breaks free. Marion Barber into Giant territory. 36 yards.
Well, you can see this crowd. I mean, here he is. He's going to come through here, and then he's going to cut back. And, you know, I mean, this is the things that he's capable of doing. He can dart, dash, make people miss. He does not have breakaway speed. If this had been Julius Jones out in the open field, he probably scores. That's the only thing that Marion Barber lacks. He certainly does not lack toughness. Does a great job.
It's Barber's 9th carry this season of 20 or more yards. 36 to be exact, and wide open is Creighton down inside the 30. You know, the one thing that Romo told us, Terrell Owens is one thing. The better news for him was that Terry Glenn was back and running well, and now you've got the full complement of playmakers for Tony Romo, and he uses Creighton here.
Yeah, and Kavika Mitchell is in coverage, and he's just watching the quarterback, Joe, rather than watching the wide receiver in who he should be covering. You know, these linebackers have been exposed at various times this year.
Marion Barber picks up 11. Butler on the stop. And the Cowboys are gaining traction.
Well, it's just such a big, powerful offensive line, and you know, they mash people. It's not like what they have in a lot of places. You know, I mean, this is a big physical group, and once they get a defensive front moving, and you got Marion Barber running with it behind them, you know, good things generally are going to happen.
Cowboys running a hurry up now with a first down just shy of the 19-yard line. First and 15.
False start. Number 75 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Under a minute to go in the first quarter here at Texas Stadium. First and 15. Marion Barber again bouncing it. Blocking on the outside from Terrell Owens. First and goal.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, Fred Robbins inside for New York does a great job of getting pressure. I mean, he comes off the ball and he motors everybody in the backfield, but because of that, Marion Barber has to bounce it to the outside, and then there was no containment. Jabril Wilson was the guy who has to be there to turn that play back inside.
And then great blocking by Terrell Owens downfield to set up first and goal. Barber again. And this time well played defensively by the Giants. Strahan, who was not in on that 20-yard run by Barber to set up first and goal, in on that stop. Giants struck first. They lead 7-0. Cowboys knocking on the door. Second quarter after this. Second quarter, second and goal from the 5. 7-0 Giants on top. Marion Barber 5 carries, 72 yards on this drive. Cowboys spread him out. Throw for the corner. T.O. Touchdown.
Well, Corey Webster was trying to say that his feet were not in bounds. Take a look. Got the ball, and it looked to me like he had both of them down. It's just a matter of when he had possession of the ball. It looked like he had possession and had both feet in the end zone.
No challenge flag yet from Coughlin. Strahan's talking to Coughlin, and Coughlin's going to throw the flag now. Strahan was in the left ear of Tom Coughlin. And they will challenge the call.
New York is challenging the ruling on the field.
He has it there, and then both feet are down. I think this is going to be a pretty easy one to call.
I agree. Has it, left, right, little tap tap, but a challenge right out of the sock and onto the field. Challenged by the Giants.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown. The receiver had control of 2 feet down. Will be charged a timeout and a challenge.
High left ankle sprain or not, it is obvious by now that Terrell Owens is much more than a decoy. He is back and feeling good.
Yeah, and the Giants expected that coming in, and they wanted to get physical with him at the line of scrimmage, and Corey Webster tried on that last play, which is why Terrell was as open as he was.
Terrell Owens had a big hand setting up the touchdown as well, blocking for Marion Barber. The catch, tap tap, TD for T.O. A souvenir for that kid, and Strahan Nah, whatever. 7-7. Peeking down through the hole in the top of Texas Stadium. Dominic Hickson from just inside the 5. Good return by Hickson, who hits a wall at the 30. Forward to the 32, and we will welcome you inside the booth. And so far so good. I think both you and I expected a good game, and with the Giants scoring first here today, the Cowboys just answering, it looks like that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, and that's usually what we do get when it comes down to these two teams. And you know, it's interesting, you come into the game and you start thinking about Terrell Owens and what do we have to do to slow him down. Is he healthy? A lot of focus on him. Obviously he got the touchdown, but right now Marion Barber has been the guy that they need to reassess this thing and figure out how they're going to slow him down.
Yeah, and on the other side, it's Ahmad Bradshaw, who has looked better than Brandon Jacobs here in the early going. Jacobs back in there. Quick setup and throw. Burris has his first. Picks up 5. Anthony Henry out there defending, and if you ask Eli Manning, he'll tell you that Anthony Henry really has given Plexico Burris more trouble, even dating back to their time in the AFC when Henry was with Cleveland and Burris with the Steelers, as opposed to Newman, who's really considered one of the few shutdown corners in the league.
Yeah, Terrence Newman, a Pro Bowl player this year, and I think that in this game, Joe, Anthony Henry, you know, he tends to play the bigger receivers a lot better. Obviously, Plexico Burris, one of the biggest receivers in the NFL.
2nd and 5, and Brandon Jacobs can't get around Spencer. The rookie and the first-round pick out of Purdue made that play, no gain. 3rd and 5 coming up.
Well, pretty good job by the defensive ends up front too. You know, as far as the linebackers, obviously in the 3-4 are the ones that are going to get all the attention, and they're the guys who have to be the playmakers when you run that type of scheme. But in run defense, you need guys like Marcus Spears, who was able to hold ground on that last play.
Penalty flag on the play as the pass is dropped over the middle by Toomer. It's an incomplete pass, but it looked like the Cowboys may have come across early. We'll see if they were drawn off. If this one is against Dallas, it's a 5-yard penalty. It was 3rd and 5.
Offside, number 98 defense. 5-yard penalty result of the penalty result. The first down.
Really looked, Troy, like Ellis was trying to time the play by the play clock because it was about at 0.
Yeah, and because of where the play clock is, I mean, you can tell when the ball has to be snapped because of that, and that's why they're trying to get the jump and feel that they're capable of. I mean, we see Eli run the play clock down a lot of times, right down to 1 just before it hits 0. That gives an advantage to the defensive front.
That's 2 of those against the Dallas defense. First one against Ware. This one, Ellis. Pressure on Manning. Steps up. Tripped up from behind by Aiken Adele. A gain of 2, however, so no sack.
Well, I mean, it didn't look real good, but at least he avoided the sack. I mean, you're going to see Brandon Jacobs. They bring the linebackers on a twist, and Aiken Adele looked like he tackled him right there. And then Eli Manning, not realizing that Aiken Adele was chasing him from behind, you know, really kind of fortunate that Adele had to go low. He might have been able to strip the ball from Eli's hand.
Second and 8. Brandon Jacobs, left side, slips down as he got to the 45. 7 yards shy of a first down.
I'll tell you right now, you know, Brandon Jacobs, going back to last week and some of the troubles that he had getting outside, I know that the teams, for the most part, that have had success against this Cowboys defense running the football have been able to do it between the tackles. They're a team that has great defensive speed, very difficult to get outside.
3rd down and 7. Manning goes down. Chris Canty off the edge. The right defensive end made the play. It's 4th and 17.
It was a 4-man rush. I mean, and they're able to get pressure. They got 2 guys there, Brandon Jacobs as well as Deal. And then Seibert's able to get involved as well, and yet they're still not able to make the block to keep them from getting to Eli Manning.
Cowboys went into more of a 4-3 there with DeMarcus Ware with his hand on the ground. And a sack brings Fiegels out. Hits a good one. Drives it out of bounds. And they will mark it inside the 20 at the 19, but a penalty flag is down. For now, the ball's on the 19-yard line. And it's a hold. The penalty flag is way on the far side of the field, just outside the 20. The initial indication is a hold against Dallas.
During the kick, holding number 17 of the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Well, that's Sam Hurd. Eli Manning now back to the sideline as Tony Romo heads to the field in a 7-7 game. The writer's strike is denying us all of the start of 24, so enjoy it. Antonio Pierce, Romo, and then the 2 coordinators, Jason Garrett, Steve Spagnuolo. Starting from just inside their own 10 are the Cowboys in a 7-7 game. Marion Barber just runs right through Aaron Ross and picks up 8. Let's go down to Chris Myers.
Joe, the legend of the quick healer Terrell Owens continues. 16 to 18 hours a day. He worked with a medical entourage. His coach said he had specialists I never even heard of for this high ankle sprain. I talked to T.O. in the tunnel just before he ran out. Actually was going over plays with Tony Romo, and he said, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
All right, Chris, thanks. He has a personal hyperbaric chamber. Worked on an underwater treadmill.
Don't we all?
Well,
you don't?
No, mine's broken.
You know, Terrell Owens, he's got a little showmanship in him as well. You know, we were out there in practice the other day, and while the cameras were rolling, you know, he was running around with a pretty noticeable limp. And then when the cameras left, all of a sudden you see him running at full strength and didn't look like he had a limp at all.
And inches. Joe, Troy, Pam, and Chris with you. 7-7 game. Barber gets it, has the 1st down, and as is typical with this guy, it takes 4 guys to bring him to the ground. I mean, nobody runs any harder in this league than Marion Barber.
I mean, it's unbelievable watching this guy. I mean, he led the league in broken tackles, and you just see it over and over and over. I mean, one guy can't get him to the ground, and rarely can 2 or 3.
Aaron Ross is back on the field for the Giants. 1st down, Dallas. Word is he had a burner. It's word from the sideline. Romo making a play. Slides forward. Got a hit on the end of it. Gerard didn't like it. Trying to protect his quarterback. Antonio Pierce got down on top of Tony Romo after he gave himself up with a slide, and the play was good for 6 yards.
Well, and that's so frustrating for a defense when you finally are able to get pressure, and then the quarterback able to find a hole in that lane, as we see Antonio Pierce. I didn't think anything of it as far as when he came in and went down on Tony Romo. Tony gave himself up. I didn't think it was a violent hit, but offensive linemen, as they should do, are always quick to defend their quarterback.
Julius Jones now in at tailback. Lost his starting job today, and Jones takes it up just shy of the 30, about 1.5 yards short of a 1st down. NFC Championship game is next Sunday in the late.
Well, it was great to watch the way his game started and the way he finished it. Congratulations to Ryan Grant, Brett Favre, and the rest of that Packer organization.
Witten looked like he didn't know what he was doing as he went in motion. He was confused.
Timeout, Dallas.
And because
First
of it,
team timeout.
Dallas has to take a timeout. It'll be 3rd down and 1.5 yards when we come back. Tied at 7 at Texas Stadium. Barber back in there. He carries it and he plows forward to the 35-yard line. Ran right over Antonio Pierce.
Oh my gosh, I mean, he just gored him right in the chest. I mean, you got to know if you're going to try to bring this guy to the ground, you better lower your hips and be ready to pack a punch. I mean, here comes Marion Barber. And Marion Barber just got lower than Antonio Pierce. And whenever that happens, the guy that's slower is usually going to win that battle.
Second drive for the Cowboys that started inside their own 10. On this drive, 6 runs. Romo has not thrown the ball yet. That's about to change as he drops it off to Barber a little short. Pierce was out there anyway for the Giants as Dallas tried to set up a screen.
I think Pierce wanted another shot at Marion Barber. You know, they ran the screen and Pierce, he read it all the way, and had Barber have caught it and been standing up, I think there would have been some retaliation there.
Look at the day already for Marion Barber, 93 yards, and they have been limited, Dallas has, with what they've asked Romo to do throwing it. Terrell Owens and Corey Webster locked up. Barber. Kavika Mitchell absorbed the hit. A gain of 2. 3rd and long coming up.
You know, even on that with Kavika Mitchell, you can tell, I mean, you have to go after this guy, because when you just stand there and wait, I mean, maybe it just takes some time to realize just how powerful Marion Barber is when he has the ball in his hands. But right there, I mean, you called it, Joe. I mean, Marion Barber, it is rare, highly unlikely to see him go backwards. Usually when he makes contact, he's moving forward, and that's been the case throughout this game so far.
3rd down and 8. Quick throw to Glenn, makes a move, has a 1st down. Terry Glenn, his first catch of the year. 2 separate procedures done on his right knee. Troy, they were able to keep him on the roster all year. Got into the final game at Washington for a few snaps, but he's a big weapon that the Cowboys have back.
Yeah, and they bring R.W. McQuarters off the corner on the corner blitz, and that's why Jabril Wilson then has to come over into coverage. You know, and Terry Glenn, as you said, Joe, I mean, he's missed so much time. You just don't know exactly what it is that you're going to get, but I can tell you, he's healthy enough that he can run by Jabril Wilson if they keep trying that scheme.
Play action from Romo, who goes for Owens, and they weren't on the same page. There was contact, no flag. And another hookup between Terrell Owens and Corey Webster.
Now, I know Steve Spagnuolo, he likes to bring people. He likes the pressure packages. We know that he's a disciple of Jim Johnson, defensive coordinator there with the Philadelphia Eagles. And you got Webster one-on-one there against Terrell Owens. And you get a little help on Strahan. Colombo and Strahan are going to be a great battle throughout this entire game. The Cowboys feel like they can do a pretty good job with Strahan with Colombo.
2nd and 10, a handoff to Barber. Barber inside Giant territory. Troy, we talked to Tony Sperano, who's the offensive line coach and a hot candidate for the head coaching spot next year. Hear his name linked with Miami a lot. And he said the guy that they respect the most on this defensive front is still Michael Strahan. They believe Flozell Adams can handle Umanura, and then they can help out with their offensive line getting help against Strahan.
That's why they've been so effective against the Giants pass rush this year, is because they can put Flozell one-on-one on O.C. Umanura, give a little help when they need to Colombo, and then you take out 2 of the premier pass rushers.
3rd down and 7. Romo throws on the run and finds Terrell Owens 1st down. That's 4 third-down conversions on this drive.
And they match Colombo again. No help on Michael Strahan. And Colombo, he knows that the last thing he can do is let Strahan inside. So he runs him wide. And Tony Romo able to buy some time and then make the completion.
Owens just left alone, standing beyond the marker. 13th play of the drive.
I'll tell you, they keep singling up on Terrell Owens one-on-one. They're going to get hurt.
Play action from Romo. Cowboys start to open it up. The receiver had fallen down. That was Glenn, and Webster had an interception land right in his lap, and he dropped it.
And this was the thing that Tony Romo was most concerned about, throwing the breaking routes, because Terry Glenn has not been able to get in and out of them very effectively. He falls down, and then Corey Webster, you're never going to get an easier interception than this right here. You know, hits him right in the chest, and he's not able to make a play. I mean, surprised him, sure, but that's a ball you got to catch.
Tom Coughlin telling us that Webster has great hands.
Really?
That's what he said. 2nd and 10. Barber. Good play by Kavika Mitchell. Squeezed it down, made the play, a gain of 1, another 3rd and long for Dallas.
You know, I'll go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. We've seen a lot of blitzes from the New York defense, and Steve Spagnuolo, he likes to dial them up. You got to be careful, though. Every time you bring pressure, you're exposing an element of your secondary, and if they don't get home and they don't get pressure on Tony Romo, then you're vulnerable to some awfully big plays, and that's what got this Giants team beat. The first 2 games against the Cowboys was giving up too many big plays.
We're right on the outside edge of field goal range for Nick Folk right now. Mitchell came on a blitz. Romo over the middle. T.O. 5 for 5 on 3rd down on this drive.
And nobody within 3 yards of Tony Romo in the pocket. You know, this is what we saw the last time these 2 teams played. They bring Kavika Mitchell off the edge, and Marion Barber does a great job of blocking him, and nobody else even gets close.
Good strong throw from Tony Romo. Hit Terrell Owens in stride, and he just sits down with a 1st down at the 17. Julius Jones. And like we've seen so many successful teams exhibit over the last couple of years, a good 2-headed approach at running back for the Dallas Cowboys. It's been a lot of Marion Barber, and now Julius Jones gets mixed in. It's 2nd and 6 after he got 4.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this drive by the Dallas Cowboys. This is a drive that began on their own 10-yard line. They've methodically moved the ball down the field. I mean, these are the types of drives that just demoralize a defensive unit. I mean, the last thing you're expecting when you pin a team deep like they were able to with Dallas is that they're going to drive all the way down the field and potentially come away with a touchdown.
2-minute warning at Texas Stadium. 2nd down and 6 for Dallas when we come back. The ball at the 13-yard line. We're tied at 7. 2nd down for Dallas. 2nd and 6. Play action from Romo. Rolls out, throws low, caught by Witten. 1st and goal. Jason Witten good for 11 yards as they finally get the ball to their big playmaking tight end.
Yeah, and you're going to see James Butler. He's right here, and he completely misses Jason Witten. And the reason is that he was looking into the backfield. He sees the play action there to Marion Barber. He bites on it, and then he's not out there playing the flat, which is where Witten was going.
96 catches during the regular season for the all-pro tight end Jason Witten. That's his first catch of this game. How about the 18th play of this drive? Terrell Owens and a lot of hand checking with R.W. McQuarters. Aaron Ross is out of this game. They're checking on his shoulder. He went out with a stinger earlier. Now it's Terrell Owens and R.W. McQuarters as the Giants are getting awfully thin at defensive back.
Yeah, you can see there they're trying to get physical with Terrell Owens, and that's kind of the game plan coming into this thing. But as you said, Joe, I mean, now that they're so thin in the secondary, it becomes hard to match up against these guys, but they may not be left with any alternative.
Second and goal, Barber to about the 1. Third down and goal. This is a Dallas offense that was #1 in the NFL in plays of 20 or more yards, but this has been more like the Giants were last week, dinking and dunking. It's going to be at least a 20-play drive here down the field. A drive that started inches inside their own 10. It's third and goal.
I think the thought coming into this game for the Giants was that if they kept from giving up big plays, that Dallas would get frustrated, and that they would start trying to force things down the field. That hasn't happened. Dallas has been able to take what they've been given, and they've moved it all the way down here. Now Corey Webster, he had the opportunity for the interception and then just failed to make the play.
So far, Dallas, they have converted 5 third downs on this drive. 20th play coming up after the Cowboys spend their second timeout. From just inside the 1. Barber. No signal yet. Touchdown. Behind that big offensive line, and Marion Barber, who's had a tremendous first half, pounded it in.
What a game he's having. I mean, you get an opportunity inside the 1-yard line, get a little bit of movement, and then just let him hit it and see if he can't get across the goal line, which is what he was able to do behind Andre Gerard, Leonard Davis. It's a heck of a drive right there by the Dallas Cowboys.
They're going to look at it in a booth review with 53 seconds left in the half. That first look, you couldn't even see him dive down underneath all those big bodies behind Oliver Hoyt, his fullback. Got hit in the hole and then looked like he crossed the goal line.
Yeah, it looks like his waist is even on the goal line. Kavika Mitchell trying to make a play to hold him up, but yeah, clearly in the end zone.
Obviously, the only question then becomes, did a knee hit down before he broke the plane? It didn't look like it, but the booth called down and they want to take another look at it just to make sure. Let's take a look at the knees now, because clearly he broke the plane. There's the left knee.
And then it's just a matter of whether they can determine where the ball is relative to the goal line, and that angle there obviously doesn't show it, and I don't know that any angle down the goal line is going to show it because of the bodies.
So again, it has to be conclusive evidence to overturn the call on the field, which is touchdown. I don't know that we've seen it, but that left knee by Marion Barber went down. It was very close to the time when the ball broke the plane.
Well, and I think what the Cowboys did there on third down, as far as running the play clock down and calling timeout, was very smart on their part. As we take another look at this, knee down there, but you just can't tell where the ball is. But they're on that third down to run the clock down, then call the timeout, taking as much time off the clock so that if they scored or even had to settle for the field goal, they would leave as little time as possible for the Giants.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
A 20-play drive. They covered 90 yards in 10 minutes and 28 seconds off the clock.
I think some of those coaches over there for Dallas are wondering why they didn't start Marion Barber all season.
Yeah, today's the first day, and a guy who had a year where he came just shy of 1,000 yards, basically coming off the bench. He's a Pro Bowler. Averaged 4.78 yards per carry on the season.
I mean, that's not a bad first half of work on his part. over 100 yards already.
We take a look at the most years that it's been since the last playoff win. The Bengals have gone 17 years. They beat Houston in '91. The Lions 16 years. Kansas City 14 years since they beat Houston in '94. Buffalo 12. They beat Miami in 1995. And hard to believe, but the Dallas Cowboys have gone 11 years since their last playoff victory.
You know, there's always a lot of talk, or there has been this week, about trying to beat a team 3 times in a season. You know, first of all, you have to play that team in the playoffs for it to even happen, for you to be given an opportunity to beat a team 3 times. And then the fact that that team is in the playoffs means they're pretty good. And so it's hard to win a game in the National Football League, and it's hard to beat good teams consecutively in the National Football League. That's why it's rarely done.
Now it's Ahmad Bradshaw waiting deep for the kick. Kick is high and short. Bradshaw takes it from around the 15-yard line and can't make the 30. Knocked down at the 29 by Bobby Carpenter. 14-yard return. Last week for the Giants offensively in the first quarter, -2 yards overall against the Buccaneers. So far in the second quarter, -2, but they haven't had the ball. It's been a quarter dominated by that 10.5-minute drive put together by Dallas.
Yeah, and it's hard as a quarterback standing over on the sidelines for as long as Eli Manning did, and then to come out into a no-huddle situation. I do think that they need to be aggressive here. You know, there's still plenty of time on the clock. They've got 2 timeouts. I think if they're able to come away with any kind of points here before the half, that would be huge.
Four-man rush, and that ball may have been tipped coming out. It came out funny in the direction of Amani Toomer. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was, Joe. It looked like he just pulled it right in the ground. I mean, pretty good protection, you know, in the pocket, had a good look at it, and just made a poor throw.
42 seconds left. As Troy said, 2 timeouts remaining for the Giants, who are down by 7. Out of shotgun, Manning throws and caught by Smith. Coverage by Williams and Reeves. Reeves on the stop and the hit, and Steve Smith hung on, a gain of 22.
Boy, what a catch there, knowing you're going to have to go up on the sideline and make a play and, you know, keep the ball and not lose it. That's just a nice job on his part. I mean, this young guy, Steve Smith, he missed so many games because of injury and had a nice impact on the game last week. You see there, he's outstretched, knowing he's going to take a hit as soon as he comes down. Just good concentration on his part.
Eli took a hit after he let it go, and then had to spend the second time out of the half by the Giants after the completion to Smith.
Yeah, that's the one thing. The Giants feel like they can get some plays down the field, but to do that, you've got to have protection so that he can hold the ball. So far, they've harassed him pretty good.
Manning throws, completes again to Smith, who's out of bounds with a first down, and a flag comes in at the end of the play. May have been a face mask on the tackle. 28 seconds left in the half, and it's the big face mask call, says Eli Manning.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask, number 35 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So that's Jock Reeves, and here are the Giants moving the ball down the field, and a big part of it 15 yards because of that grab and twist by Jock Reeves.
Yeah, as soon as you see the head turn like that, it's going to be 15 yards. And, you know, Steve Smith playing like a veteran right there, knowing exactly what the situation is, knowing that they want to try to preserve this last time out. Catches the ball, heads to the sideline. They get an extra 15 yards. Now, I mean, what initially you're hoping to get into position to maybe come away with a field goal, they now can start thinking about trying to come out of this with a touchdown.
That was the 5th Dallas penalty of the half. Manning steps up. Avoids the rush, end zone, and out of the reach of Burris. And Plexico comes down limping. Here's a guy who's had a right ankle injury since the 2nd of August. And he came down funny there and comes back gimpy to the huddle.
In fact, just this week, you know, we all thought that he had been playing with in essence, a high ankle sprain, much of what Terrell Owens has. You see him come down there a little awkward. And he revealed this week that it's more than just a high ankle sprain, that he actually has a torn ligament. And as Tom Coughlin said, he's basically just willed himself onto the field this year to play.
There's Burris, play clock at 1. Manning has it knocked down. Canty got his hands up. And it's 3rd down.
Trying to hit a shallow crosser and thought he had a chance, and he did. Had he not have gotten this ball knocked down, Chris Canty, you know, an awfully big defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, 6'7", and when he's in the middle there and in the throwing lane going up, I mean, it's just impossible then to hit that 10-yard crosser.
It would be a 41-yard field goal from this spot, well within the range of Lawrence Times. Giants want more than that. Manning with time, throws and completes to Boss. And the rookie tight end sets up 1st and goal at the 4. His first catch, 19 yards.
You know, Dave Deal, he's got his hands full over here. DeMarcus Ware, this is his power move right here. He's going to put his helmet right in his chest and just drive him back. But not before Eli Manning's able to get the ball out, and a good route by Boss. I mean, this guy had big shoes to fill when he came in and took the place of the injured Jeremy Shockey. And each week, I mean, he makes a bigger and bigger impact on this team.
Important that the Giants have that one timeout left. It's 1st and goal from the 4. Manning over the middle. Toomer, touchdown, New York. What a drive put together by Manning, and a fight breaks out between Brandon Jacobs and Roy Williams.
I tell you what, neither of these teams like each other too much. But I tell you, Joe, that was a great drive right there by the New York Giants, being able to make some plays. 48 seconds on the clock when they got the ball. 2 timeouts. To be able to come away with a touchdown, as I said, you're hoping just for a field goal at that time, but to be able to come out of this with a touchdown and then tie the score if they make this extra point, that was big.
Toomer with 7 catches last week, 74 yards and a touchdown against the Buccaneers, and he has come up big again here today. We're tied at 14 with 7 seconds left in the half. For Amani Toomer, his 31st career postseason catch. That is a new Giant record, and it ties the game.
Toomer's the guy that Eli Manning just has absolute trust and confidence in. When you talk to Eli and he says, hey, I know where he's going to be, I trust him, he's dependable, he's tough. You know, he went through a period there where he was dropping some balls, but you know, wow, what a game he had last week and what a game he's had here in this first half.
7th career postseason touchdown for Amani Toomer. And the face mask on Jock Reeves helped get the ball down a little closer. But Eli Manning did a great job of moving the ball down the field. And at the end of that touchdown, here's the fight between Roy Williams and Brandon Jacobs.
That's pretty good stuff there.
And Tom Coughlin's reaction.
I don't think you can ever question his intensity, that's
No.
for sure.
Thought he was supposed to be more warm and fuzzy this year. Pull a groin muscle arguing with the official. Man, he was hot.
I would say he's got his game face on, but Bobby Knight, he takes exception to that question.
Yeah, don't say that. Squib kick by Tynes. Returned by Miles Austin. and there is 1 second left on the clock. 29-yard return, Blackburn on the stop, and we are 14-14 at the half. Manning, Romo, Giants, Cowboys. This battle within the NFC East. Winner goes to the NFC Championship game. Visa halftime show coming up. Tied at 14 after a half. A good one at Texas Stadium. Lawrence Tynes will kick it away, and the Cowboys will start this second half with the ball. Miles Austin, Nathan Jones waiting for the kick. And it's Jones. Nathan Jones crosses the 20. Let's go down to the field and check in with Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Tom Coughlin was one thing on his mind. He said, we have got to stop the run. Didn't even give me a chance to ask the question. He says, we got to do a better job defensively. Marion Barber on his cutbacks is hurting us. Our guys have to stay in their lane and just be disciplined. Bit of good news for the Giants defensively. Cornerback Aaron Ross, he has a sprained shoulder, but they say he will return. Back to you.
All right, they need him. Aaron Ross. Aaron Ross is out there at the moment, but after Ross you get to the veteran R.W. McQuarters. After McQuarters, a guy they just picked up off their practice squad, Jeffrey Pope. Dockery and Madison both inactive for this game. Marion Barber picks up 3. Umanura on the tackle, and we go down to Chris Myers.
Wade Phillips came out of the locker room shaking his head, Joe, said that the positioning of his defense was good, that the players didn't respond to the play properly in that last drive with the Giants. He did take note and say that because of the thin secondary with the Giants on offense, he expected Tony Romo to be able to make some big plays in the second half. Terrell Owens, his ankle is fine. He's not wearing any protective wrap. They just checked on it at halftime. He's good to go.
All right, Chris, 2nd down and 7. Blitz off the edge. Romo throws and completes to Whit. First down, Dallas.
Well, again, the Giants, they bring pressure off the edge. You're going to see right here, and then with that, they play zone behind it. But still, you can see the holes that are afforded. And when you bring pressure, you just have to get home if you're the New York Giants. You cannot allow Jason Witten, Terrell Owens, Patrick Creighton to move around in the secondary when you're exposed because of secondary pressure that's not getting home.
First down at their own 33, and the handoff is to Barber. Marion Barber makes the 36. It's worth talking about now, something that's been talked about so much during this past week, what Tony Romo did, where he went, with whom he went during his days off, during the off week. There's no doubt that he assumes a little more risk by going where he went, getting the pictures taken and what have you. But if he has a successful game, and so far so good for Tony Romo, you get the benefits of it. It's almost like a latter-day Broadway Joe. And a guy who fans love to watch, smiling out on the field, completing passes as he does to Fasano on 2nd down, good for 5 yards. He's a guy, Troy, that certainly has fun playing this game, and I admire the fact that a big part of him says, I'm going to do what I want to do. If people don't like it, they don't like it. I have to play well no matter what, and he is prepared to play in this game here today.
Yeah, and yet I understand that perception is a big part of everything, and he certainly put a big old bullseye right square on his back, and if they do not go on to win this game, then he certainly has opened himself up to a lot of criticism, fairly or unfairly. I know in talking to him, he said, I thought I was doing the right thing, and I know there's a lot of guys out there that think he did the right thing too.
3rd down and 2. Marion Barber has a first down. Boy, it certainly looked, Troy. Jason Witten started that play in the backfield, and it looked like he got a little bit of a head start before the snap from Gerard back to Tony Romo, who was in shotgun, actually was made, but no flag, and a first down carry of 10 yards by Barber.
Well, a little bit like what Pam said, and you know, as far as them now having to try to stop this running game, you know, you start bringing up extra defenders in order to slow Marion Barber down, and then you just weaken your coverage even more.
Barber again bounces it after running into a wall, and he crosses down inside the 45 to the 44, picked up 5.
You know, when you get them bottled up, then you still got to get your hands around them. You can see that there are people there to make a play, but nobody's able to actually get a hold of them. Now, there has to be somebody that's holding contained, and that's what they have not done a very good job of. The Giants have not done a very good job of having somebody there so that when they bottle it up inside and Barber has to bounce it, that he's bouncing into a defender. There's been no defender to tackle him.
Second and 5. Barber tries the right side, and Reggie Torber got through and made the play. A loss of 2. And so another third down faced by the Cowboys, and a player is down. That's Flozell Adams, who pops up. They stop the clock. You heard the whistle, and we'll see if they're just going to let it play on. Evidently they are. So even with the whistle, Flozell Adams got up quick enough. They let the play continue, and that means Flozell can stay in the game. Doesn't have to come out for injury on 3rd and 7. Snap was late again. Romo throws to Glenn. First down. Gerard Troy is having a tough time getting the snap back on time, but the officials are letting him play on.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, you're seeing Tony Romo being able to make some plays, and then you got Colombo there on Strahan again, one-on-one, no help. Does a good job. Romo buys some time. That's the hole right there in that 2-deep zone coverage. You know, right behind the corner, and then keep the safety, get the ball in there before the safety's able to get over the top.
Last 2 snaps out of shotgun have been late from Gerard. Quick snap count here, and Julius Jones makes it to the 25. Gain of 2. Michael Strahan is the guy that this offensive line was worried about coming in, and for the most part, Troy, this big group up front for Dallas has done a good job with number 92.
Yeah, they really have, and it hasn't not just been this game. I mean, it's been in both of the games during the regular season. I know Steve Spagnuolo said, hey, it begins and ends with our defensive front. And so far, I mean, this Cowboys offensive line, which is really the strength of this offense. I mean, we get so enamored with some of the skill players. The strength is the offensive line, and they're winning in the trenches today.
2nd and 8. Romo trying to make a play. Runs into his own teammate and falls forward for a first down, and that's what Tony Romo does. He banged into Kosher, but still kept his feet, picked up 11, and got a first down.
You know, Tony's not the fastest guy. I mean, there are people there that had a chance to maybe make a play, but you know, there are guys that play in this league that just know how to play the game, and Tony Romo is one of those guys. You know, if you really broke him down and evaluated him, you know, I don't know that he'd really jump out at you in a lot of areas, but then when you put it all together and you watch him play on Sundays, I mean, the guy just knows how to win, and he knows how to play quarterback.
Another long drive put together by Dallas. Marion Barber tripped up by Ross. Bad shoulder and all. Ball popped out, but Barber was down, a gain of 3. And boy, Aaron Ross may not be able to continue. Marion Barber just ran through him, and that's a huge loss for this Giants secondary.
There's no question, and it's hard to imagine that in light of what he's been through already up to this point in the game, that he's going to be able to come back and play again.
So he made the play, but came sprinting over to the sideline in pain. 2nd and 7. Play action. Romo at time, guns it, incomplete. Good play by Wilson. Jabril Wilson closed on Fasano and broke it up. Fasano was open for a moment.
He sure was, and there was good closing speed there by Jabril Wilson, because again, Tony Romo in the pocket with time, knew exactly where he was going with the football and had a chance maybe if he lays that thing out a little bit more, but just a good job by Jabril Wilson.
Actually went through Fasano's hands right into his chest. And it's 3rd and 7.
This is a big down right now for the New York Giants defensively. I mean, they've given up touchdowns in this area on the other trips for the Cowboys.
Lozelle Adams, a false start. That is his 10th of the season.
False start, number 76, offense. 5-yard penalty still. 3rd down.
I know in talking with offensive line coach Tony Sperano the other day and asking him about the penalties, that Flozell Adams, the most penalized offensive lineman in the NFL, and he says, hey, every week he goes against the best pass rushers that the other team has. That, I would never say this to the head coach, but I'm okay with 1 or 2 of those if he continues to block the way that he has. And we haven't talked a lot about O.C. Umenyiora today, and Flozell Adams is a big reason why.
8 for 9 on 3rd down today. It's 3rd and 12. Terrell Owens wide open, but overthrew him, a little behind him. It's 4th down. The field goal unit. Nick Folk, the rookie, will come on and try and break this tie.
Well, that's a good job defensively. You wouldn't initially say that, but holding them to a field goal attempt, and they were able to get just a little bit of pressure to where Tony Romo felt like he had to rush it a little bit, and because of that, the ball was high. But he certainly had Terrell Owens open.
34-yard attempt by Nick Folk. The rookie drills it. And it's 17-14 Dallas, the #1 seed. Romo got him down the field. They come away with 3. Went for 14 plays, 62 yards, and they come up with a field goal. Dominic Hickson on the return for the Giants, has blocking out in front of him. And Hickson gives Eli Manning and the Giants great starting field position right at midfield. 45-yard return by Dominic Hickson. By the time Nathan Jones brought him down, Giants have the ball at midfield, down by 3. Giants had a turnover-free day against the Buccaneers last week. Neither team has turned it over so far today, as Brandon Jacobs with a nice run of 8 yards on 1st down. Let's go back and look at Terrell Owens on that 3rd down throw.
You're going to see him in motion here, and then he's got the crossing route. And watch these guys here, how they start communicating when he goes in motion as far as who's going to pick who up. Right there, a little bit of a natural rub, but no one picks Terrell Owens up. And the ball just got away from Tony Romo. I mean, had he been able to put it on him, it's a pretty easy touchdown.
2nd down and 2 for the Giants, down by 3 points. Brandon Jacobs with a 1st down. Picked up 4. Big debut tonight. 1st down, Giants.
They got tight end Kevin Boss out wide again,
with Roy Williams across from him. Manning, DeMarcus Ware. A loss of 9 on that sack.
That wasn't even close, Joe. I mean, he's going to be working against Kareem McKenzie, and you can tell McKenzie just can't get out of his stance. And DeMarcus Ware, great athlete, great speed and quickness. It just wasn't even close. They put the tight end there trying to get DeMarcus Ware to line up a little bit wider, which then would afford McKenzie a little bit more time to get into a position to make the block. But it wasn't even a contest.
2nd Cowboys sack of the day. Jacobs left side, and a good play by Ware on the other side of the field. A gain of only 2. 3rd and long coming up. DeMarcus Ware and O.C. Umenyiora were childhood friends, went to college together. They're now in the pros together. They're both Pro Bowlers for the NFC. And DeMarcus Ware has had a good series here defensively for Dallas. 3rd and 17.
Well, it's been a great job right here by the Cowboys defense, considering that kickoff return and where this drive started.
Four-man rush. They set up a screen. Jacobs tripped up. 4th down. Greg Ellis on the tackle.
You know, all the Giants were really trying to do, if they can pick up a 1st down, that's great, but they really wanted to try to get into a position where they could attempt a field goal to tie this ball game up. I think they pick up the 1st down if Greg Ellis doesn't make the play that he made. When you talk about Greg Ellis, just got named comeback player of the year, had a career season in terms of sacks, probably playing his best football here over the last 2 seasons. It's just been a great leader for this defensive unit all season long.
Now, surprisingly, Dallas has to burn a timeout prior to this punt by Fiegels. There's the play by Ellis to bring up 4th down. Romo and Fasano talk about, I would imagine, that last possession where Fasano had potentially a touchdown go through his hands. Now it's 4th down for New York, with Creighton waiting deep for the punt. Fiegels trying to do his thing. Takes a bounce and goes into the end zone. So Dallas will start at their 20. Just a net of 20 yards picked up by the Giants on that punt. Dallas up 3. By DirecTV. Cowboys have it. Up 3, starting at their 20, and they hand to Barber. Marion Barber picks up 3.5. Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, obviously Aaron Ross wants to play. The Giants need him to play, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to go. Currently, he is out of his shoulder pads. They put a sling on it. They took the tape off. Apparently, it was too tight for him. He's shaking around his right hand. But again, that shoulder sprain on the right side is apparently too much for him so far. Back to you.
Really had a very good rookie year. Thank you, Pam. Took over as the starter. Corey Webster started the first 3 games, then went to the bench. Ross was the nickel back early, but they're now without him and using R.W. McQuarters. Romo throws, and the pass complete to Witten. Troy, it is going to be awfully hard as Jeffrey Pope was out there defending. There's a flag down back where Romo got rid of the ball. And this one is coming back. It's going to be hard for this Giants secondary to try and slow down all these weapons that the Cowboys have as we go through the rest of this second half.
You know, the Giants haven't matched up particularly well against this Cowboys skill players, you know, even in the first couple of games of the season. Now you minus Sam Madison, you're down Aaron Ross. I mean, you've got a banged up group. It even becomes
Personal
that much
foul,
more of a
unnecessary
mismatch.
roughness, number 70, hitting a player out of the play. 15 yards, half the distance of the goal, still 1st down.
That's Leonard Davis, who is headed to his first Pro Bowl, big number 70, who has shown a lot of his power on the inside. And there's the extra hit.
Yeah, I think that was a good call. You know, Michael Strahan was on the ground, the ball was out. A good call there by the official, and that hurts the Cowboys. And right now, I think that when you talk about Romo missing Terrell Owens there, that would have been a touchdown. A penalty like this, I think those are the things that have to work in the Giants' favor if they're going to have a chance to stop this Cowboys offense, because I just don't think they can hold up otherwise.
On 2nd down, even though Pete Morelli said it was still 1st down, the pass complete to Witten. It's 4 of those yards back, and with under 2 minutes to play in this 3rd quarter, 3rd and long coming up for this Dallas offense.
And because of the fact that Sam Madison is down, and you know, of course we knew that coming into the game, but Aaron Ross, now what they're having to do is they're matching Corey Webster up with Terrell Owens, regardless of where Terrell Owens lines up. And so they're basically going man-to-man there. He's now their best corner, and then as you said, we've got the Jeff Pope. He's covering Terry Glenn right here, and Jeff Pope was on the practice squad not too many weeks ago.
3rd down and 14. Romo buys some time, keeps the play alive, and the pass dropped by Creighton. Had it in his hands, had first down yardage, and dropped it.
I mean, if Creighton is able to make that catch, I mean, he may go 65, 70 yards. I mean, it's just the middle of the field right now for the New York Giants. They're just completely exposed, and that goes back to what I said is, you know, they're so thin back there that right now this is the only chance that the Giants have of really slowing the Cowboys down, and that is the Cowboys not executing the way that they would like.
Some of these other Cowboys should have gone to Mexico. Couple of drops on some pretty good throws from Tony Romo. McQuarters returning the punt, staying on his feet, and giving the Giants great field position inside the 40. Rodgers forced him out after a 25-yard punt return by McQuarters. Great starting spot for the Giants, who trail by 3. The injured Sam Madison, who is down on a knee with a warm-up top on, is basically running the secondary meeting for the Giants on their sideline. According to Pat Hanlon, their PR director, the only reason he's on the trip is because they want him to lead that group. Word on Aaron Ross is he's finished for the rest of the game. Out of the shotgun, Manning throws. Toomer left wide open. And Amani Toomer has a first down at the 25. Everybody backing up, and Toomer good for 12 yards.
And I think right now, looking at this Giants team, I mean, the Giants defensively, as we see, they're going to have some problems. So right now, it's really coming down to the special teams and this offense if they're going to have a chance to win this game. The special teams have done their job. They've had the big kickoff return. They had the nice punt return to put them in a position right here. But now the burden is going to be on this Giants offense being able to score when they get those possessions.
Kevin Boss at the top of the screen, the tight end, across from Roy Williams. Manning pumps that way, now throws that way, and the pass incomplete. 2nd and 10. On Sunday, February 10th, the Sunday after the Super Bowl, the All-Star.
You know, Brandon Jacobs has had some nice runs, but Ahmad Bradshaw just seems to give this team a little life. He certainly did last week. They're going to, you know, see if he's able to do that here on this possession. He's not had a carry yet, but he's a guy who can certainly take it the distance if he gets a crease.
They have to be able to trust him blocking. Pass is caught and immediately dropped is Smith by Reeves, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter here in Irving, Texas. 17-14. Cowboys lead it. Strahan urging on the offense. Trailed by 3. Back after this from your local Fox station. 3rd down and 6 for the Giants as we start the 4th quarter. Manning steps up, throws, completes. Steve Smith sets up 1st and goal from the 9.
That tells you what kind of confidence. That tells you what kind of confidence Eli Manning has in Steve Smith. And, you know, for a guy who hasn't played, Plexico Burris out here was one-on-one. You know, you got a chance to maybe get him in a situation coming back over the middle, but instead he works the rookie, and it's because he's up against Jock Reeves. Going into this game, both Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning could not stress it enough. We want to go after Jock Reeves when he's on the field.
An 11-yard completion on 3rd and 6, and Ahmad Bradshaw stays on his feet down to the 1. Madison Hedgecock, the fullback, with a good block out in front of Bradshaw.
Well, Madison Hedgecock, he had some big blocks last week in their win over Tampa Bay, and you know what a luxury for a runner, especially a young runner, when you know you've got a guy in front of you that's going to be able to take out the first color that he sees. And that's exactly what Hedgecock does. Nice block right there on Roy Williams, and gives Ahmad Bradshaw a place to go with the football.
For Bradshaw, Troy, 54 of his 66 yards rushing last week at the Buccaneers came in the 4th quarter. He's turning into Mr. 4th quarter for the Giants. 2nd and goal. Jacobs is the tailback. Jacobs gets it and scores. Touchdown, Giants. Jacobs fires the football into the play clock as the Giants now jump out in front for the second time in this game.
You know, and again, it was set up, you know, by the big punt return. And gave this team great field position. They do a good job, a nice third down conversion there. You know, the Giants have been good on third down all day long, but none bigger than the one they had to Steve Smith. And then some good solid running for the score.
So Eli Manning has been able to answer all day long. And Tynes knocks through an important extra point, not by much. Brandon Jacobs got the touchdown and then tried to dismantle the play clock. 21-17, Giants on top. Tom Coughlin believed coming into this game, the head coach of the Giants, that they had an advantage in special teams play. It has worked that way. A 25-yard punt return set up that last touchdown, pounded in by Jacobs. And now Miles Austin takes it from inside the 10. Penalty flag comes flying, and there have been a lot of penalties against the Cowboys, big ones in this game. Zach Diassi made that last play, and this penalty is against Dallas after a 20-yard return by Austin.
Yeah, and you're right, Joe, that the Giants, they have won the special teams battle.
During return, the illegal block in the back, number 50 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
And that's why I say, you know, I always believe, and Jimmy Johnson used to always tell us, you got to win 2 of the 3 battles. Well, the Giants are winning the special teams battle. They're not winning on defense, and now it's really a matter of whether or not they can win on the offensive side of the ball. But here's the drop by Patrick Creighton, which was huge, because if he catches this one running away from R.W. McQuarters, I mean, it was going to be a huge play for the Cowboys. And then there's the punt return that set up this last touchdown for the New York Giants.
That was the 8th penalty called against Dallas in this game. There's been only 1 penalty called against the Giants. Moves the ball back to the 13-yard line, and Marion Barber gets it. And a good play by Butler coming up, the first to hit him, a loss of 1. We talk about the Giants secondary, and for more on that, down to Pam Oliver.
Yeah, Joe, I'll tell you what, Steve Spagnuolo spent that entire drive coaching up his secondary. Then injured players Sam Madison and Aaron Ross joined the session, even getting Gatorade for the DBs. Antonio Pierce, sensing that that group needed some encouragement, he went over to them, pointed to his own head, and said, "It's all up here," indicating it's all mental. Back to you.
All right, well, Spagnuolo's done a great job. The 48-year-old first-year defensive coordinator. That's Terrell Owens at the bottom of your screen. 2nd and 11. Pass is right into the gut of Creighton and dropped. It was either broken up, McQuarters was on the coverage, and I don't know if Creighton dropped another or if McQuarters batted it away. Either way, it's 3rd and 11.
Well, you're going to see Witten come across, and no one really knew where the ball was being thrown. You know, Witten didn't know if it was going to him. Creighton wasn't sure if Witten was going to make the play, and you know, those are, you know, you're right. It hits him right in the chest, you know, to where he can make a play on it, but just somebody got too much depth, and it looked like it was Jason Witten who got underneath Creighton to interfere on that catch.
Pretty good coverage by McQuarters. It's 3rd and 11. Pass is caught by Witten. What a throw, just as he was hit. Romo completes for 14 yards. Strahan was coming, and Tony Romo just got rid of it.
Well, right now, that's really been the downfall for this Giants defense. The Cowboys have converted 9 of 12 third downs. You know, they're finally able to get pressure there on Tony Romo, but he does a good job of getting the ball out, and a good route by Jason Witten and making the catch.
Tell you something that's happening here is that Gerard is having a tough time snapping in the shotgun. We were here and watched a game against the Redskins where Gerard was snapping it all over the place, and Romo's having to wait on those snaps. He airs it out down the sideline for Owens, and it's through his hands. Covered by Webster.
You know, and in order for this play to even have a chance, Tony Romo's got to have a lot of time back there in the pocket. You're going to see Terrell Owens here, and he completely stops, and then he goes. It was a stutter go, but normally you don't see a receiver come to that kind of halt before he'll take off. There's the pump, trying to get Corey Webster to bite, but by pumping, He then gets Butler, the safety, involved in the play as well over the top.
Webster, it looked like, got a left hand just on the ball. Good play by Corey Webster. Looking left all the way, and the pass is caught by Creighton. Webster was there again, and Creighton's good for 15 yards.
And you got Romo throwing off his back foot. He's falling backwards, and Patrick Creighton going up and making a play. And Corey Webster was in great defensive position on this play. Initially, it looked to me like Corey Webster may have come down with the ball, but a good job by Patrick Creighton. He's got great hands, maybe the best hands on the team. You can tell right now, I mean, this defensive front is starting to get a little pressure on Tony Romo. Still does not have a sack, but they are starting to harass him a little bit.
First down, back to the running game, and Marion Barber certainly not much of a factor in this half. After a big first half, picks up 2. Sunday, February 3rd, Tom Petty.
You don't think that was a good flight home, do you?
Oh. A blitz from the Giants. Romo's in trouble and goes down. Sacked for the first time in this game, and there were 4 Giants chasing him. Jay Alford was there. Also pressured by Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, this was the time they wanted to dial up the deep ball here to Miles Austin against R.W. McQuarters. You're going to see that he's got a step, more than a step. He's wide open. But because Romo had to get flush to his right side, he's not able, he knows he's not able to get enough on this throw to even try to make the throw. Now, what he should have done is just throw it out of bounds and avoid the sack.
3rd down and 13. Romo backpedaling, throws out of the reach of Glenn. And you said it, that entire series, the Giants finally got pressure on Tony Romo.
Yeah, and what a difference that makes. I mean, that's, you know, Tony Romo is human as well, and anytime a quarterback starts getting pressure, bodies in his face right here, you know, he wants to be able to hold it. You can tell. I mean, each time we've seen it, we've seen the receivers running open. They've got 4 or 5 yards on these defensive backs. And so pressure is vital.
McBriar hits the punt and hits a beauty. High hanging punt and over the head of McQuarters and down by Carpenter. You talk about a special teams play. Carpenter downfield after a beautiful punt of 58 yards by Matt McBriar. Giants will start at their own 3. Offensive line coach Tony Sperano letting his group have it.
Yeah, and with that, I think he's perfectly qualified to be a head coach in this league.
Starting at their own 3, up by 4 are the Giants. Handoff, Jacobs pushing that pile out to the 9, and we go down to the field and Chris Myers.
Well, Tony Sperano was yelling at his offensive line, upset that once the ball was snapped, they were waiting 1, 2, and hesitating. He said, don't wait to get hit. Once we snap, you launch forward, you start the blocking, hit somebody, and we'll make something happen.
Thank you, Chris. 2nd and 4 now for the Giants, who bought a little breathing room with that run by Jacobs.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a big run, getting it off the goal line there and then putting it right now at 2nd and 4.
This Dallas defense needs to come up with a stop. Jacobs fights forward, got away from Anthony Spencer and picked up 2. 3rd and short coming up for the Giants.
Even that was a pretty good run by Brandon Jacobs. They had stopped him, you know, short for no gain. These teams have done an excellent job converting on 3rd down. You know, right now, if Dallas is able to stop the Giants, they're going to give the ball back to this offense in great field position. And, you know, certainly the Giants' objective right now, because of the injuries defensively to their own unit, is to maintain possession and try to take time off the clock.
Toss to Jacobs, trying to get to the edge. He doesn't get it. Henry came up to support on the run. And the defense for the Cowboys holds. It's 4th down.
That's a great job defensively by the Cowboys. I mean, after a 6-yard run on 1st down by Brandon Jacobs, and then 2 more runs not to give up 4 yards. awfully impressive. And now they're going to give the ball back to the Cowboys with great field position and put the pressure right back squarely on the shoulders of this Giants defense.
Fiegels to punt. Creighton waiting for it for Dallas. Creighton drops it, gets back on top of it. They'll start at their own 43 with 7 minutes left. Dallas defense celebrating a hold. The Giants with a 4-point lead. Best starting field position for the Cowboys today, starting at their own 44, down by 4. Hand off to Marion Barber. A little room to run. He picks up 4 yards. First guy to hit him was Torber. And for Tony Romo, whose only other experience in the playoffs was that game that ended in Seattle last year with a fumbled snap on a field goal try with 1:14 left. Seattle won it 21-20. That seems like a lifetime ago, I'm sure, for Tony Romo, who brings his team to the line with a 2nd down and 6. But the #1 seed in the NFC is in trouble here against the Giants. Romo fires high and a penalty flag comes in. Creighton ended up on the ground. So did Romo. This could be the 2nd penalty of the day on the Giants, who were penalized only 77 times all season long.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 25, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's McQuarters.
Yeah, McQuarters matched up on Patrick Creighton. You know, he hit him within the 5. You see the jersey. Gosh, he's dragging it to the ground. I mean, you see rodeo cowboys that don't make moves like that. I mean, that was an easy call, but they are getting pressure there on Tony Romo. You know, so much of this game he's been, you know, untouched. But the last possession, certainly we saw it. We've seen it now on this possession, and the guys are starting to feel their way in how they can get pressure there. OCU Manure on that last one was the guy who got to Romo.
Strahan coming, flushing Romo out of the pocket, who goes down, did not get rid of the football, and all the way back inside the 40 in the arms of Kavika Mitchell, a loss of 14.
You know, if there's one criticism of Tony Romo's, it's that. We saw it a little bit earlier, that once you get outside the pocket, you know, the rules are very liberal in the NFL, that once you get outside the tackle box, you know, throw it away right there. But he wants to make a play, wants to get the ball down the field, and sometimes you got to use better judgment than that. A sack like that just kills you when you're trying to move the football and get a first down. Now, having said that, the Cowboys are one of the best teams in the National Football League converting these types of situations into first downs.
Romo over the middle. It's Witten. And Witten gets it to the 41-yard line. 4 yards short of a first down, picked up 20, and he was sitting in a wide open hole in that defense.
That's that area where they've been exposing the Giants. They just haven't been able to catch the ball. Too many drops. The linebackers just let Witten go. Nobody carries him. There's no reason for any of the linebackers to stay underneath because there were no receivers underneath. The only guy was Marion Barber, but both Pierce and Kavika Mitchell stayed shallow and created that big void for Jason Witten.
Under 5 to play. 3rd down and 4. Penalty flags at the snap, and the pass is caught. Flags are down. Another flag comes in at the end of the play in the secondary. There are 2 separate fouls on this play.
Illegal formation, offense.
Now Pete Morelli will be alerted that there is another foul.
Illegal formation, offense. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
So they're going to, Romo's going to argue and say, what about the penalty in the secondary?
There is no foul downfield for pass interference.
And so they pick up the flag for pass interference, and that makes it a little tougher on 3rd down, 3rd and 9.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, you're watching Tony, he's getting frustrated. He's getting frustrated, getting knocked down. He's getting frustrated that they haven't been able to take more advantage of what they've been given down the field. It really is amazing to me. Corey Webster matching up Terrell Owens one-on-one throughout this second half, and they've yet to take advantage of it, much like Tampa Bay could not do last week when he was covering Joey Galloway. There's the matchup right there.
Romo goes for it. Penalty flag as Owens can't come down with it. Webster had coverage, but there is a flag in that area. Right at the 30. And it's against the Giants.
Illegal use of hands. Hands to the face, number 23, the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Webster, and there isn't a bigger penalty in this game to this point.
Well, Webster gets a jam on him at the line of scrimmage, and then he let him go, and then I really didn't see exactly what it was. I mean, you see the right hand, but I didn't see him grabbing or anything, so I don't know exactly what the officials saw there to warrant the penalty.
Well, they said illegal hands to the face, so it had to be on that initial jam up under the chin of Terrell Owens.
Well, if that was it, he was just late throwing the flag.
So a first down at the 41 of the Giants. Big penalty against New York. Romo with a pocket this time. Throws it away. Really no receiver in that vicinity. Romo was in the pocket, but there is no flag for grounding on the field.
Yeah, and I think it was because he wasn't in jeopardy. Well, they throw it now. I thought they weren't going to have it because he wasn't in jeopardy of being sacked.
Grounding. Number 9, offense. 10-yard penalty and loss of down. Second down.
You know, a lot of times the quarterback's in the pocket, but he's not at risk of taking a sack. They won't call that. He clearly was within the pocket, but there was nobody around him. He was just throwing it away and said, hey, we'll just go on to the next play. I tell you, he doesn't throw it away when he's outside the pocket. He throws it away when he's in the pocket.
Yeah, he really had nobody bearing down on him, but he threw it over to an empty part of the field out of bounds, and so it moves the ball back to the Cowboy 49.
Well, and with as much time as is being taken off the clock on this possession, I think the Cowboys really have to look at this drive as though they're not going to be given another opportunity.
Just so you know, Dallas with 2 timeouts left, the Giants with all 3. Romo hit as he threw it, and the ball incomplete. And Umenyiora ends up on top of Tony Romo again, and Umenyiora is smiling as he pulls himself off number 9. It's 3rd and 20.
And here's Tony Romo talking to the official, you know, and trying to state his case as to what he was doing and why they should not have called it. And he didn't win, and players normally don't.
Meanwhile, Wade Phillips, who was 0-3 in the postseason in his head coaching career, is watching the time run out on the Cowboys with 4:03 left.
And I'll tell you, O.C. Umenyiora, he is really doing an excellent job right now of getting pressure.
Play clock at 1, and the Cowboys have to use a timeout. So this highly celebrated Dallas offense moving backward at the moment. Romo looks flustered. 3rd and 20 when we come back. You know, great clutch defense put together by the Giants. Banged up in the secondary, getting pressure up front. Forced an intentional grounding. It's 3rd down and 20. 4:03 left.
And surprisingly, Michael Strahan not on the field.
Dave Tollefson and Umenyiora are the ends. Play clock down to 1. A pump fake, aired out for Terrell Owens, downfield, underthrown. It's 4th down. And Flozell Adams is slow to get up. It's 4th and 20 after that incompletion, and Owens had gotten behind the defense.
Well, it sure had, and then in order to make that kind of play, you've just got to have time in the pocket to be able to make that throw. There's the pump, and Jason Tuck, I mean, the guy who's been making plays all year long, does a great job of getting pressure on Tony Romo. Right there you can see, had Romo had been given time, he's probably able to get that ball out. And you see Flozell Adams, who got tripped up underneath Tuck after Tuck brought Romo to the ground.
So now McQuarters will wait for the punt. Under 4 minutes to play. From outside the 10, McQuarters hauled it in, and they will mark it at the 12. Where it's first down, Giants. And a 13-win season for the Dallas Cowboys. Now they look at their defense. And Troy, there's only one timeout remaining for the Dallas Cowboys, so a first down or two here by the Giants, and they can wrap up this win.
That's right, and they know that, and they want to take time off the clock. Now, the last time they had the ball, they tried running it 3 straight times. They failed to get a first down. You know, I mean, they're up 4. They know that the Cowboys have to score a touchdown, but I do think they still have to play somewhat aggressively to continue to get first downs to win this game.
Ahmad Bradshaw gets it.
Here we go, ball.
Out to the 16-yard line.
It's critical that they run hard and get yardage, but you cannot afford a turnover here, and yet Ahmad Bradshaw is the guy who's playing.
No turnovers in this game. 2nd down and 6.
And you can bet that Dallas is going to stack the line right here.
Hand off to Bradshaw. Not much. Out to the 17. Under 3 to play. Aiken-Adell made that last play.
I do think that the Giants are making it easy for the Cowboys, Joe, because 2nd down, if you go with a boot, you know, the Cowboys are expecting run. You know, you come with a naked boot, get out on the edge, you know, try to stay ahead of the chains. Now at 3rd and 5, I mean, obviously they've got to throw the football here, but I think the Giants may be hurt by being so conservative there on 2nd down.
Third down and 5. Snap was a bit low. Manning steps up, in trouble. Down he goes. And the defense for the Cowboys gives Dallas a chance. Tank Johnson in to make that play.
Yeah, and give the Giants, or excuse me, give the Cowboys defense credit. You know, the last 2 possessions, they forced a 3-and-out.
2-minute warning here in Dallas. Cowboys about to get it back, down 4. 2 minutes left. Dallas did not have to use their timeout on that last possession by the Giants. Fiegels hits it. Creighton on the return. Decent blocking out in front of him, and Creighton gets it into Giants territory. 1:50 remaining. Fiegels didn't like that punt, and so now the Dallas Cowboys, the #1 seed in the NFC, 13-3 during the regular season, down by 4, needing to get it into the end zone to advance to the NFC Championship game and host the Packers next Sunday. They are 48 yards away, and this makeshift defense, at least secondary for the Giants, if they can hold here, it'll be one of the great jobs by defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, patching this thing together back there and getting it done.
We've seen Dallas in this situation a lot. Tony Romo seems to play his best football in the no-huddle situation.
Romo for Barber, breaks 1 tackle, puts his head down, stays inbounds, and picks up 9. Went right through Michael Johnson, shoved him away. 1:34 and counting.
You know, Tony Romo says that he's got about 5 to 8 plays that he has great confidence in, regardless of the coverage. He knows exactly where to go with the ball.
Just trying to pick up the first down, and they don't accomplish that. The ball comes out. He was down. Meanwhile, time is expiring off the clock. It's third down.
And Tony's trying to get him to the line of scrimmage. He's clearly on the ground. He ran in to his own offensive lineman there. But you're right, valuable time coming off the clock.
It's third down. Romo in trouble. Flips it forward for Witten, who has a first down inside the 25. Dallas has a timeout left. Justin Tuck is having a tough time getting off the field, and now the clock is stopped as Tuck can't get off the playing field. 31 seconds left.
And I thought the Cowboys were fortunate there because it looked like a good time after that completion to call a timeout. They lost a lot of time off the clock, and they weren't in any hurry at that point. They were in a hurry, but they weren't going to be able to get the ball snapped. More seconds were going to come off. And here's the play. You know, Tony Romo just ad-libbing there. I mean, that's just what you do when you're out there playing in the yard. Jason Witten sees that he's in trouble. He makes a move. He gets away from Pierce.
Looks like yesterday. And Brett Favre in the snow making that little flip to Donald Lee. But the Giants did have to spend a timeout. We talked to Tony Romo about this a few weeks ago, and he said, when I was a third-string quarterback, I really studied the 2-minute offense and when to use timeouts and when to try and hang on to timeouts. The Cowboys have been able to hold on to their one remaining timeout, which they have with 31 seconds left, needing a touchdown to win and advance.
Well, that one timeout is huge. I mean, clearly they need a touchdown, but to be able to work the middle of the field, and then even if they get a big gain down the middle, you know, they're still able to run the football if necessary because of the one timeout left.
Again, I'll say it again. The snap from Gerard is not getting back to Romo in time.
False start, number 75 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You know, they get Colombo, but the problem is the snap's not getting back.
No, you're right. That's Colombo, and the ball, everyone's moving. I mean, they could have called it on anybody. And Tony Romo, after this play, I mean, he went and talked to Andre Gerard and said, hey, look, I mean, the ball's not coming out.
Romo saying there are times when Gerard can get a little yippy with the snap out of shotgun. It has happened in this game. That one's better. 1st and 15. Pass is complete. They'll keep the clock winding. And a timeout with 24 seconds left is taken by Dallas. If they're going to give forward progress,
that's right,
they're not going to allow then the clock to stop with Witten getting out of bounds. So they gave Witten the forward progress.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Joe. And you know, if they're going to give forward progress, then you can't also get the clock stopped. That was a good job by the official recognizing that. I know that Wade Phillips did.
For the Dallas Cowboys now out of timeouts.
Hey, see that defensive front right there? Osi Umenyiora, Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck. I mean, you know, right now they pretty much know it's in a lot of ways on them. I mean, if they're able to get back there and contain Tony Romo and get pressure on him, they have a good chance because, you know, we know that if he's given time, right now the middle of the field looks open, that he can find an open guy.
Romo throws incomplete. 3rd and 11 with 21 seconds left. Pressure by Umenyiora.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, for a guy who had not been getting hit much, he's been getting absolutely pounded here in the second half, particularly here in the 4th quarter. I mean, you see Osi Umenyiora, he puts a move on Flozell Adams, comes underneath, and every time pretty much that Tony Romo's dropped back here and back in the pocket here in this 4th quarter, he's been on his back. Either that or running for his life.
3rd and 11. End zone, Creighton overthrown. Now it's 4th and 11 with 16 seconds remaining.
I'll tell you, if you're Jason Garrett, 4th and 11. I mean, there's not a lot of good calls for 4th and 11, and Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, knows that as well. And Corey Webster, you know, they went after Corey Webster a little bit early in the game. They were able to make some plays, but when Aaron Ross went down, every one of these guys has been pretty much asked to cover one-on-one, Corey Webster especially, and he's done a good job, and now it comes down to one play.
On 4th down, clock running, intercepted. Giants, McQuarters, and the New York Giants are 9 seconds away from advancing to the NFC Championship. McQuarters got one at the end of the game last week in Tampa, Florida, and he gets one here. Wade Phillips, it appears, will remain winless in the postseason, as will Romo, as Tony Romo throws the pick to end the day offensively for Dallas, and great coverage downfield.
Well, it sure was, Joe, and I said the middle of the field's open. That's where the ball needed to go, but, you know, just great coverage by R.W. McQuarters. When he followed him in the seam, you can't say enough about this Giants team and what they just accomplished and the way that they played and what they had to do at the end to win this game. And I know Jerry Jones and the rest of this organization is absolutely sick.
There is a Manning in a championship game next weekend, and his name is not Peyton. Eli Manning has managed this Giants offense yet again. The defense with a heroic effort, banged up in the secondary. Good enough for a 4-point win here today in Dallas. A lot more to come as we take a break.